What is up, everybody? It's your boy Duty back again with another video, and this time we're taking a look at our boy DSP's daily rap, where he continues the post-fappening saga where our boy Phil is trying to convince everyone under the sun that one, his problems are no one's business, although he keeps talking about his business, and two, Kat did not leave him. And I'm really starting to suspect the more Phil talks, the more Phil keeps talking about the issue, his day off, and all of his issues and problems, I am really starting to believe that it could be related to him and Kat's relationship. Yep. And the funny thing is, he actually does expose himself a little bit in the daily rap here, where he starts talking about people talking about what may be going on or speculating and so on, and he mentions everything except one thing, and that was the interesting part. So let's get into the video. Let's do this.
Having an unscheduled missed day of streaming and content back on Tuesday, and then having my scheduled day off on Wednesday, just to to kind of recap and get everyone caught up. First of all, I know for a fact that this show, The Daily Rap, is pretty much a show for my on-demand audience. You know, the Level 1 podcast, that's kind of a split show. I have a live audience of hundreds in the morning, and then we have hundreds of people who watch it over the course of the day, and I'm really appreciative of that. But this show is just for you guys who watch everything on demand on the channel. So I just want to take a moment to thank you all for understanding, for anyone who reached out, because there actually were a significant amount of people who did reach out to me during my days off there. My unscheduled day off in particular, to just say, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I hope you're doing all right. I appreciate that. The well wishes help. They do. When there's a lot of crappy stuff going on, to know that there's people out there.
I wouldn't say Derek, Swaggins, and Slayer are a whole lot of people. I'm pretty sure those are the three dents that reached out and said, hey Phil, what's going on? We need our daily dose of goutness. And they missed you, and they probably reached out. So I wouldn't call that a whole bunch of people, Phil.
That actually care about you. And not just me, but, you know, my family and everything. That's really nice. And I want to say thank you. And also thank you for understanding. You know, it was supposed to be a day full of gameplay. We were supposed to be...
A cat and a horse is not a family, Phil. A wife and a child is a family.
Trying out Redfall. There was supposed to be more Final Fantasy V. There was none of that. Alright? So I apologize for that wholeheartedly. It was not something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be here. You know, I pride myself on consistency, on abiding by a schedule.
Okay, he's getting annoying now. Like, I know I enjoy watching and listening to get some content, but he's getting annoying now. He continuously is talking about this stupid day off because of some emergency that crept up, and he keeps telling everyone essentially to mind their business, but yet he keeps bringing it up. He keeps bringing it up on his videos, he keeps bringing it up on his gameplays. This is his daily rap, and he spent about the first half of the daily rap talking about something that he's claiming he doesn't want to talk about. So how about you just shut up, stop bringing it up, stop talking about it, and maybe it'll go away, Phil. How about that? I love it. I love it how you're so wise now as an older person to realize that oversharing is not a good thing. But yet you continue to share. You know, you may not say everything, but, you know, it's almost like thinking outside of the box, but then pressing up against the box as closely as possible. That's what you're doing here, Phil. Stop talking about it. Stop bringing it up. No one essentially cares. And people are going to speculate and say what they're going to want to say anyway. So you trying to sit here and regurgitate the same bullshit over and over again isn't going to change anyone's minds unless you come out specifically and say, this is what's going on, this is what's happening. And the funny thing is, I'm starting to think you're realizing that people are catching on. And I honestly believe that this has to do something related with Kat. I mean, he sounds just like he did prior to Panda Lee leaving him. He sounds exactly the same. So I think he's hiding some marital problems that might be going on there. And, you know, it's upsetting him. And, of course, it's upsetting him because he can't work and make that tip money. But he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let his marriage fall apart or stream for money. And I know for Phil that is a very difficult choice to make.
Well, a lot of people say the one thing that you can really say positively about Darkside Phil is that he's there all the time. He's consistent. He puts out the content he says he's going to do. And he doesn't really have unscripted days off. He's dependable. You know, I say I'm going to...
Consistent garbage is still garbage, Phil.
That he's there all the time. He's consistent. He puts out the content he says he's going to do, and he doesn't really have unscripted days off. He's dependable. You know, I say I'm going to be here, I'm going to make content, I'm usually here. And a lot of other streamers don't do that. They don't even have a set schedule, but for me, you know what's coming, right? So it sucked what happened. You know, my goal is that this will not happen again, but it doesn't mean that it won't. I don't control everything on this planet, sadly. You know, there's circumstances that happen that I don't control. And sadly, this is, a situation that may not be fully resolved, and I have more stuff going on out of my hands. You know, what happened, I can't tell you.
Oh my lord, you hear this guy? He hopes it doesn't happen again. So this, initially people thought this was a medical issue. And something chronic that would be ongoing. But now the way Phil is talking, it doesn't sound like it's a medical issue at all. It sounds like it's a marital issue. And he's hoping that him taking an extra day off on Tuesday, coupled with his day off on Wednesday, that he may have saved his marriage. And he essentially quailed Kat's anger. And she could possibly may have been leaving or cheating or something like that. You never know, especially being that Phil is an absentee husband. He's never there, and when he is there, he's really not there. The only time they do get to spend together, he's typically at night when they lay down and he's on Twitter. I mean, that's not a marriage, Phil. That is not. That the people, no matter how sedentary a spouse can get and how comfortable they can get, eventually they're going to wake up one day and say, this is my life. This is what I'm doing with my life. And they get tired of it and they lash out. And I'm pretty sure I think that's what's going on. That's the reason why you took 2 days off. Let's keep listening because he hints at something very interesting coming up right now.
Said this on the podcast. I'll reiterate here on the Daily Wrap. I can't tell you because it's personal stuff. It has absolutely nothing to do with the stream. So it's not like, it's something to do with YouTube copyright strikes or shit like that. It's not. Okay? And because of that, because it is my private life, I choose to keep it quiet. I choose to keep it safe and protected because there used to be a time when I used to share everything. I would say probably up to 2017. I was sharing absolutely everything going on in my personal life. As small and innocuous and unimportant as it seemed, I didn't really care. I would tell you everything. I was vlogging everything in my life and my house and all of my belongings, and I was documenting everything about going on in my life and with my family and everything, and it was bad. It was bad that I did that. Now I know that. I didn't realize that back then. I thought, what's the harm in it? But now I know what the harm in it can be when people have taken information that I've given out there, they have spinned it into something negative or complete bullshit. As I always said, you take a little nugget of truth.
No, Phil, what people have taken is 15 years of you being an asshole. And you being a turd to people, and you being obnoxious, and you being an ox and a bullhead, and you being stubborn. They've taken that and determined the type of person you are, the character you have. And that's why people don't like you. And just for the mere fact that you sit here for the last few years and you claim you've changed, you've claimed you're a different person, and yet do the same exact things that you've done for the last 15 years, doesn't change the fact that you are a terrible person, Phil.
And you pile on a bunch of complete nonsensical speculation, conspiracy, shit, nonsense, and it just makes it all toxic. It's like, what are you talking about? That none of that is true.
It would be speculatory, it would be nonsense if it never happened before, Phil. As like I stated earlier before, you're acting the same exact way you were acting when you and Pandali were on the rocks and she left you. You're acting exactly the same way. And the funny thing was, I posted a video yesterday of the day after the fappening back in 2016, and how, later on you talk about how, where you try to blame the fappening on Pandali, and how you guys were almost broken up, you guys weren't really in a relationship, and yet you were sitting there promoting her business, her soap business. Remember that, Phil? So yeah, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth here, Phil, and that's why people don't believe you. So for you to sit here and say, it's speculation and people are taking this and that and making a whole story out of it, no, Phil, you are a creature of habit, Phil. I've always said that. That's why you're so easy to follow, and you're so easy to figure out when you're lying, when you're actually telling the truth, You're very easy because you're a creature of habit and you continuously do the same thing. I don't know if it's a subconscious thing where you just can't help it and you just fall into the same patterns, but that's what's going on here, Phil. That's what's going on. You could do it with any topic. I'll pick one. Review Tech USA. I'm done with him. I'm done with him. How many times have you been done with Review Tech USA? It's going on, what, 8 years, Phil? And yet every month you have a big, huge segment blowing out, cursing out Rich, and essentially saying you're done with him. And then a month later, you do the same exact thing.
This is what's happening now. Like, people are making up crazy conspiracies about why or what I'm going through right now. People saying all kinds of crazy stuff about, health and money and legal stuff and all kinds of crazy shit. And no one knows anything because I have
health, money, and legal stuff. You notice the one thing he did not mention in that trio of what people are speculating the issue might be. That's right, his marriage. He didn't bring that up. He didn't talk about that. Interesting how when he's talking about how people are speculating and making shit up, the only thing he didn't bring up was his marriage. So Phil, again, you're a creature of habit. You can't help yourself. You're gonna always expose yourself and give yourself away. And that little comment right there, Phil, just speaks volumes. It's interesting how you point every single point out except the one thing that it could be, which is your marriage.
I told you, no one knows the truth of the matter but me and my family, and that's how it's gonna stay. Please understand that. If this were a different time, if this were over a decade ago, before the real negative viral meme of crapping on Phil became the popular thing to do on the internet, and if I could trust that I could give you information that wouldn't blow up in my face, I would tell you. I can't. So I'm sorry, and I'm gonna obviously do my best to be here consistently. I don't know if I can be. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, sorry about missing Tuesday, and thank you for understanding. Now, let's get back to business. Today was a great level.
You should have gotten the business before this video, Phil. You spent almost 4.5 minutes talking about this nonsense. Of course, you don't want to talk about the nonsense, but yet you continue to talk about the nonsense. Anyway, that's the video, folks. Stay tuned. I have a feeling that, the video I posted with Steve of the Dead, where he had hypothesized that Phil was hiding something more critical, more important. I think he's spot on. I think Phil is hiding possibly his marriage on the rocks, possible divorce, maybe cat left, who knows, but we'll hear more about it. We'll eventually hear more about it because Phil can't help himself. He will continue to expose himself and eventually say something and slip up and actually tell the truth. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.